morning, everyone. Welcome to Inspiration for Today on another day. And we're still here at the home of Barbara Gardner. And Barbara, thank you for allowing us to talk to you again. Now, if you didn't see yesterday's show, you need to go back on YouTube and see it because Barbara has a collection unique to, well, I've never seen one like it, Barbara, I gotta say. How many bells do you have?
438.
438. Oh my gosh. And we actually we still have these little bells right here that she individually gave the details of those yesterday. And then we talked about all her other bells and the history and memories and all that was for you. So thank you so much for sharing those. But because of that, even at the end of that show, and you were starting to say, well, somebody gave me this bell and somebody else gave me that bell. It made me wanted to hear about how has the Lord ordered your steps, so to speak. How has your life been affected? And I mean, here you are, you live in Laguna Woods, basically. Mm-hmm. And but along the way, you had how many children?
I have 3 children, and I was born and raised in Monmouth, Illinois, and I lived there 56 years.
Yes.
And then my husband passed away with a brain tumor, and so I lived back there for 4 more years, and then the kids decided I could come to California to live.
Because they were living in California.
Yes, all 3 of them. So I've lived out here now 33 years.
Wow.
And my bell collection come with me. Of course, I've gotten a lot since I've been out here, but
yes.
It did start back in Illinois.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to do was let's have a verse for the day. Okay. We always do, and I'm going to just choose Romans 8:28, which says, "God works all things together for good for those who love Him and are called according to His purpose." And as our pastor Rick often points out, it doesn't say all things are good.
Right.
But it does say that God even mixes together the things that we know are painful or scary or whatever, and He uses those things in some way to either build in us or bring glory to Himself or something like that. And Barbara, you were just telling me kind of how the Lord worked in your life sickness-wise.
Really brought me closer to Him.
What happened?
10 years ago, I had a lumpectomy, and I took radiation for that, and I did very well. And then 4 years ago, I had to have a mastectomy, and they told me that at my age that they didn't think chemo would be appropriate, and I said, no, I don't want chemo. I just want to put it in the hands of the Lord, and whatever He wants, that's what I'll do.
But can I just add though, I'm sure, knowing you and who you had a lot of people praying.
Yes, I did.
For you too.
My small group come over and had their meeting in one of the rooms while I was in surgery, praying for me, and I feel like prayers have really gotten me through this.
Wow.
And
so anyway, you told them, so no
chemo.
No chemo.
I'll leave it in the hands of the Lord. And here I am 4 years later, and He's still working with me.
There's a phrase God is not finished with me yet. I usually say it for me, but I can say it for you. He's not finished with you yet. In fact, even today, I understand that you had your small group now still meets here in this room, and you had them over before we came over.
Right. They came at 10 o'clock, and we're here till noon, and they left right at 12 o'clock. So
how many are in that?
There's 9.
9?
Mm-hmm. And 2 were unable to come today because of sickness.
Yeah.
We have nearly all of them, nearly all the time.
You know, boy, that's a whole nother thing, but I am such a believer in not going through life alone. I mean, we know we all have the Lord with us, but He knows that we need people too.
Yes, we do.
And those who, well, either A, don't even belong to a church, or B, belong to a church but not to a small group.
I can imagine.
It's hard.
Yes.
And you know why it's hard? Because we've lived so much of our life in small groups where people know what's happening.
Well, I was never in a small group till I started at Saddleback.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
got in one and I just loved it, and it has done so much for me. Like I say,
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have trusted the Lord if I hadn't been in this small group and all their prayers and.
Well, you had a specific issue,
Yes.
and so you felt supported at the time, but also now, because I'm sure that it's still the strong prayer
Oh, yes.
that cancer
I
be
pray
forever
every day.
forever gone.
First thing in the morning, I say, thank you, Lord, for my 88 years and for getting me through this cancer. And
Yes. Well, and you have a great family. You have 3 children. I'm pretty close to one of her sons. I don't know. I don't even know. What do you have?
Jimmy lives in Tustin, and Steve lives in Laguna Hills, and Carol lives in Irvine.
So 2 boys and 1
Girl. But
girl.
all very close, and I've been out here to help raise my grandchildren. Now I've got 2 great-grandchildren, and it's wonderful.
It is.
The Lord is good.
He is, and I know that you are a blessing to them, and of course Jim, who she calls Jimmy, which maybe I shall call him that now, or is that reserved for you? I don't know.
A lot of people call him Jimmy, that's
Okay,
right.
well anyway, we used to be neighbors in Tustin, which is how I began to know the family and that.
And they went out to the big church.
Yeah, yeah.
But then they came and visited me one time, and they said, that is the friendliest church. And so they were both 55, so.
There you go. Someday, maybe they'll live here too. I don't know.
You bet.
But, well, Barbara, this has been an awesome time. We have just a minute or 2 left. Do you have, well, it's so hard. I was going to ask you your favorite bell, but that's almost an impossible question, isn't it?
Yeah, I think my 35th bell, which was green, was the last one my husband gave me before he died. And he gave it to me on our anniversary, August 7th, 1949, is when we were married. We made it 35 years, and then he passed away in October after. So I think that's probably my favorite.
Oh, what a
But they're all
Yes.
spatial.
Well, it's been so fun to get to know you, your hobby, your collection, and I know that our people were blessed, and honestly, the verse that we gave, Barbara's life illustrates that clearly that those operations and that cancer, it's not something you would choose to do. But in hindsight, it did bring you closer to the Lord. And I know that even now, folks watching, there's probably could well be an issue in your life. So let me just encourage you 2 things. 1, pray about it. And get your friend. If you're not in a small group, we'd love to help you find one. But in the meantime, I encourage you, share your prayer need with your friends. And those that you know would pray. God does answer prayer. And he'll answer yours too. And at least in every way, he's going to use that for good. And we know that to be true. We know it from experience. I wish I had time to tell my stories. I love my stories. Not that they're mine, but it's because it's the Lord. It's about the Lord and what he does. And so, folks, thank you for tuning in today. You are a blessing to us when you watch. And Barbara, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a
Goodbye.
pleasure.
Goodbye for today, Laguna.
Straight and narrow way, live for Jesus every day. He will keep the joy bells ringing in your heart. Joy bells ringing in your heart. You will have the joy bells ringing in your heart. Take the Savior here below with you everywhere you go. He will keep the joy bells